Are you a parent that sometimes reflect on your parenting? And based on everything that you know now, you wish that you had known some of those things before. And you wish you had done some things differently, but the time is already gone. Well, I'm Donna Palmer, child development coach and parent. And in this session, I want to talk to you about some of the mistakes I made, and hopefully you can avoid making those same mistakes. But before we get started, how about you click the subscribe button and the bell so that every time we have a video on how to deal with your child's challenging behavior, guess what? You will be notified. Do you know what? I'm working with kids on the front line and the parents. I am helping parents to formulate strategies, to formulate plans, to help them to transform their children's challenging behaviors. And as I do all the things that I do, we formulate strategies, I hold them accountable, and we do all the work. Sometimes I feel very disheartened because I think back on my own kids when I was raising my kids, and I wish I knew what I know today, that I could have helped my kids when they were younger. And it's something I really feel bad about because I make such a difference in the lives of the children that I work with and the families that I work with. And I only wish I could go back in time and make that difference in my own life, in my own family. But it doesn't work like that. You know what? It's water under the bridge. But what I've learned is that I can change my today and impact my tomorrow. So that is my goal. My goal is to share the mistakes I have made with my children so that you hopefully won't make the same mistakes. Well, my kids are grown. My oldest is 29 and my youngest is 20. She just turned 20. So we're just coming out of the teenage phase. And you might be wondering, okay, Donna, well, your kids are all grown up. And yeah, that's fine. But you know what? It is now that I'm seeing the effects of what I did back then. So one of the things I really like to do with my children is to write letters to them. The reason why I like writing a letter to them, it's something that they can have, the message is clear, they can remember it, they can keep it, they can read it over and over, and it's almost like a keepsake. So I really like to write letters to them and share what I am feeling and, even apologize when I need to. So I'm going to share one of the letters that I wrote to one of my kids in this session. So I'm going to read one of my letters for you. I'm not going to use the name of my child, but what I want you to see that is the mistakes that I have made is embedded in the letter. So I'm just going to read it for you. My child, who is dear to my heart and who I love with all my heart, I know that there are times when you feel like I really don't love and care for you because of the actions that I might have taken. You might feel like you don't belong because somehow you are different. My child, there are times when your behaviors have been very challenging for me, and I have to admit that I really didn't handle the situations very well, and I didn't handle you very well. You required love and care and attention, and I did not handle you with that care. A simple thing as wanting a drink as soon as we left the house. Whenever we got in the car, he would want to have a drink. I would ensure that all the kids ate and drank before we left the house. But this one child of mine, whenever we got in the car, this child wanted to have a drink 5 or 10 minutes later. And I would say, we just had a drink. We will wait until we get to our destination. Maybe our destination sometimes would be half an hour away, 45 minutes away. we can wait until we get there to get that drink. Now, when I look back, what I was trying to teach my kids at that time was delayed gratification. But what I was doing, I was painting all my kids with the same brush, because out of the three of them, two of them did learn delayed gratification, but one didn't. One learned instant gratification. When this child was at the age and stage of development where I have my own money, I have my own life, it was all about getting instant gratification. When I was a kid, I had to wait. I didn't have any choice. And now I am grown. I am going to get what I want when I want it and as fast as I want it. So my goal in teaching that child delayed gratification really backfired. And instead of teaching delayed gratification, we ended up with instant gratification. Now, when I look back, when I think about strategies that I'm giving parents today to deal with situations, I look back and I think, you know what? I could have taken a drink with us so that anywhere in the journey he felt like he needed a drink, he could have had that drink. And that would be teaching him to plan ahead. Okay, we're going on a trip and I know I tend to get thirsty along the way. Maybe I should learn to take a drink with me so I can quench that thirst instead of having to feel like I'm being punished and I have to wait until we get to where we're going. And I don't like that and I don't want to do that. So really, now when I look back, I wish that I had used another strategy and help my child learn delayed gratification in a way that was more reasonable and acceptable to him. Concerning your schoolwork, I helped you, but I didn't do a good job. I should have made a schedule, get the resources, and hold you accountable. Instead, I kept telling you to get yourself together and do your work when you really could not do it on your own. Now, this is something that I did. I tell him all the time what to do, but I really never took the time to show him. I really didn't take the time, like now when I'm helping parents with their kids who are struggling with their learning, struggling with homework, and I see all the strategies that we're putting in place and all the supports that we are accessing for these kids, it really breaks my heart because I wish I had done some of those things for this child of mine who was struggling with his learning. Again, do you know what? If your child is struggling with learning, find the resources. Give your child the help. There are strategies that we can put in place. Hold them accountable. Be with them and ensure that they do what needs to be done consistently. I should have had the same expectation for you as I had for your siblings. But instead, I lowered the bar because that was the easier thing to do. Do you know what? When we are dealing with kids who has challenging behaviors, sometimes we take the easy route. Sometimes we lower the bar and we lower the expectation. But one thing I have learned is that without expectation, there is no performance. So if I don't expect anything from you, then you really won't do anything. It's human nature. And I lowered the bar because that was the easier thing to do. Instead of having an expectation and supporting him to meet those expectations, I lowered the bar. I underestimated him and I lowered the bar. What I taught him in the long run was to do the minimum, to just make it through. And really, if I could roll back the curtains of time, I would really have the same expectation that I had for his siblings for him. And I know if I had that expectation and I provided the support, he would have performed. So you know what? If you're struggling with your child and the behaviors are so big and you feel like the only way you can manage is to lower the expectation, that's not the best way to go. That is, it may solve the problem right now, but in the long run, it's creating a bigger problem. So have a high expectation, give the support, and wait for the performance. On the times when you would get really upset and say mean things or become rude or backtalk, I would disconnect. However, I didn't learn how to reconnect. Now, disconnect is a strategy that I teach parents almost every day. And it is the fastest, easiest way to stop an argument or to stop a tantrum, because two people are in the conversation together. If one person is removed, then the other one automatically eventually has to stop. And this was a strategy that I learned, and I learned it really well, and I implemented it very well. So you know what, it really stopped the arguments, it stopped the back talking, it stopped the rudeness. But the one thing I didn't know and I didn't learn was how to reconnect. You know what? When we disconnect, it's only for a time. After we disconnect, we need to go back to our child and we need to reconnect. Our child needs to know that mom or dad or whoever it is, they love me. They're in my corner. And regardless of what happened, you know what? They're with me. And when we disconnect is we cut ourselves off from the conversation. So one of the things that I found with my child is that they felt like they weren't being heard because I would disconnect. And I didn't come back and reconnect and give them that chance to talk so that I can hear what they had to say and I could validate what they had to say, or even teach them how to talk what they wanted to talk about in an appropriate way. So the disconnection continued, and I used the strategy over and over and over and never reconnected until later on in life. Now I learned that it is so important to reconnect. So whenever I teach this strategy, I am teaching the reconnection more than the disconnection, because the reconnection is of utmost importance. So when you disconnect, always remember to reconnect with your child. My child, I should have hugged you more, but instead I allowed your behaviors to make me believe that you didn't want the hugs, when those hugs would have made a world of difference to you. There's sometimes when our children who are struggling with challenging behaviors, their behavior would be so big that we as parents feel like they really do not want to be close to us. They really don't want to be hugged, or they don't want you to be in their space. Meanwhile, it's a total opposite. So if you feel like your child is withdrawing, with my child, I would always make it a point of duty to go in their room every single day and talk with them. But I realized today that I should have done more. That child needed that hug. That child needed that reassurance and that love. So if your child has some big behaviors and you feel like, you just need to leave them alone because right now it's not working, that's okay. Leave them alone. But there comes a time when you need to go and give them that hug and reassure them. I didn't do that because I just felt like they didn't want that. And the behaviors were so big. Again, it comes back to what was easier for me. And I acted in a way that helped me with my stress, and it was easier for me. Instead of implementing the right strategies, taking the time to work through every situation and to find the right solution where everybody ends up feeling like they're a whole person. Now that my kids are grown, I am seeing the consequences of my actions. And you know what? I really wish I could go back and change things, but I can't. But what I do know is that today I could change my life and I could change my children's life and their children. So that is my goal. I'm just hoping that I've shared the mistakes that I have made with my kids in raising them, in, teaching them. And I'm hoping that you will not make these same mistakes. I'm hoping that you will seek the help and the support you need. We have a community where we get together twice a month. Parents, just like myself, we're all struggling with the same parental issues, and we support each other and we comfort each other and we help each other. So if you feel like you need some support, you need some help, you can join us. You can reach us at admin@parentingbeyondbehaviors.com. I really hope this session was helpful to you. Keep your ears peeled for our next session, where we're going to be talking about the latest trend. There is all this talk about identity, our kids, whether you're a boy, you're a girl, and there's a new identity that is rising up now. Some kids are identifying with cats and dogs. We really want to talk. We really want to look into that, this trend that is coming up, and see how it impacts our children. So keep your ears peeled for our next session, where we'll be talking about that. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.